So welcome to Love Yourself First show with our guest, Benjy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Nikky. I'm so glad that you reached out. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be able to chat with other people in the field and to share my thoughts, my wisdom with anyone who's willing to listen. It's beautiful that I get to do this work and have an impact on people's lives. So it's phenomenal to be able to talk about this stuff.
You do actually have an impact, and people do listen. That's how I got to know you, actually, from your Facebook group. That's quite big, almost 10,000 people. And that got me curious. How is it actually that you, in the first place, got involved or interested in self-love?
I'll start with the super short answer, and you
Okay.
can let me know if you want to know more. Um, I never chose this. There was never a
Okay.
moment at which I sat down to myself and went like, you know what I want to do for a living? I want to teach self-love, or I want to teach, this, whatever that I'm doing. I know a lot of people that do, decide to themselves at a certain point, or like, oh, I want to be a coach, or I want to be a mentor, or I want to teach psychiatry, or I want to be a life coach. I was at the peak of my emotional high in my life, really feeling everything and being the biggest version of myself. And then because of that sequence of events of being in love with someone who didn't know how to love, and things got really weird there, and the emotional abuse that was going on at that place, and then this kind of spiritual awakening that I started going through, it was this perfect storm of emotional disaster. And even though the recording studio was my dream, I couldn't focus anymore. So I couldn't do anything. So I shut everything down. I spent about 2 years doing nothing but trying to get myself right again, trying to heal. And as it all started going down, the more that I got into the healing, the more that it just started being so hard to affirm this new version of ourselves. And we think we're doing it for other people. We think we're like, oh, we're sharing all our life lessons so that all of you guys can know. But we're really doing it because we're so afraid of like,
Absolutely.
I don't know who I am right now. So I'm making all of these big posts and I'm trying to affirm it to myself, and I'm trying to look for the validation from others. But like, so on the one hand, I was on that road. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I started sharing. That's kind of the ironic paradox about this self-love journey that I've been on. What so much of it was about was learning to accept who I am and that I do have something to offer.
Of
That it's
course.
not arrogant to recognize what you are good at. When I started doing this work, it was like all of the masks, like it took me a long time to shed those masks, but that was
Yeah.
this journey. What this journey was about is like, finally, I'm just me. I'm not
Yeah.
pretending to be anything. I'm not putting on this act. I'm not saying what other people have taught me and what I had to study out of a book and what the university's taught. I'm sharing me and my life experience and all of the things that make me particularly unique. It was simply my calling. And it took an immense amount of inner healing and an immense amount of self-love development for me to be able to stand out in public and be like, hi, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. I'm not embarrassed to say that I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to how to live one's life with a sense of self-mastery and, while it sounds like a cheesy phrase, inner peace. Um, the more that I do this coaching, the more that it requires me to just let go of more and more and more so that I can get out of my own way, stop trying to pretend to be the coach and just be it because it's there, it's in me.
Benjy, it's so touching, and I appreciate how vulnerable you are. And I certainly can relate to what you shared. And I'm sure many people can too. And I admire how you took that stance, how you stood up and you embraced who you are, you were who you are. Because when you do that, you give us the permission to do the same thing. I'd like to know, how it feels now that you're walking, embracing yourself when you're in your true essence. Not only how it feels, but also how your life has changed since you took that decision. Because it seems to me that there was a point where you accepted that you were awesome, even though if there was some aspects that maybe you did want to work on. So how do you feel?
How it feels is honestly very normal. And I feel like I am still I'm still in the transitionary period of my life. This emotional healing journey that I went on is something that is applicable to everyone, and that I do have something of a calling or something of a gift in doing. So I stick to what I can be certain about and do my best.
And you do it quite well. Um, Even the older videos I saw from you, it's the same essence that I feel, the same message that's encouraging. And what you're saying today is exactly what I heard in those videos. And I appreciate how authentic you are and how you gave yourself the space to change. There's some points in our life where we really grab on some fruits that are not. And sometimes what people will do is that they'll hate themselves for that, or they'll put themselves down. But that's not what you did, and that's not what you help your students or your community to do either.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people who have a tendency to dwell on themselves or put themselves down, and rather than embracing the journey and building from it?
I think there might be two different questions in there, but in terms of the people who put themselves down and this and that, I think the main thing that I would want to say is that's not you. That's not
Mm-hmm.
your voice. It's the voice of all of the people who have put you down throughout your years. We are not born that way, putting
Mm-hmm.
ourselves down and hating ourselves. It is a defense mechanism. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're young and people start putting us down, we start getting used to this. They're like, when I'm not acting in a particular way, then I'm going to be judged for it and I'm going to be pushed away from for it. And even like as a young kid, like let's say when you get caught by your parents and you did something wrong, you stole a cookie out of the cookie jar kind of thing. If you don't visibly show remorse and you go, I'm sorry, then you're going to get punished more for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do internally over time, so we shame ourselves to protect us from other people shaming us. We think that like if I give myself crap first, then other people aren't going to do it to me because they'll see that I feel bad about myself. But it just leads to these cycles. And this is like so much of the crux of the teaching and the healing and the methods and everything that I do with my clients is learning to recognize that your sort of conscious, rational, logical brain,
Crying, yeah.
but it's doing everything wrong in that sense. So the heart is yelling at you in those moments of saying like, hey, we need to feel this emotion. Can we process it right now? And your brain goes, no, I'm not safe in this moment to process it. If I process it, if I express it, if I allow myself to feel it, I'm going to get judged more. I'm going to get rejected more. So hold on to that emotion and I'll come back around and deal with it later when we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
So the heart goes, okay, sure, I'll hold on to it. But we don't realize that we did that. And so we never do come back around and deal with it again when we're safe. And then it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, and we don't realize all of the ways that holding on to those emotions and succumbing to certain defense mechanisms that we needed to use in order to avoid feeling those emotions have become our regular programming. So there is this core version of you that knows who you are and knows what's special about you and knows what you want to do. And it's trying to break free every moment of every day. And then there's that asshole brain version of yourself telling you that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, or that you don't deserve love, or that all of those sort of things. And that is the programming from the outside world. It's the defense mechanisms. It's all of the things that we do to keep ourselves safe. So the kindness and the support that no one else has given them.
Yeah, that means the world.
For the first time in their life, to hear someone say, like, as I see them do the work, and sometimes they're struggling, sometimes they're doing better, but to hear someone for the first time in their life genuinely say, we need to realize that we are safe. That is at the core of all of this healing. We don't feel safe. Any moment of every day, that's the fight or flight response so many of us have been in for an entire lifetime. We believe that our emotions are a sign of danger, and that there's this constant tiger standing behind us, ready to pounce on us. And that if we ever let go for a single moment, then that tiger is going to win and it's going to eat us. So we never realize that we're safe, and we're still holding on to all of this. So your heart is sending up these emotions that need to be processed, saying, you promised me you were going to deal with this when we were safe. Can we please deal with these emotions? And your brain goes, hell no, I'm not safe. There's that tiger behind me in the jungle. And one of the biggest elements of this healing is just allowing ourselves to realize, oh my God, I am safe right here, right now, even though I don't know what the future holds, even if there are all of these possible scenarios where things can possibly go wrong, right here, right now, I'm safe. If you're watching this right now, you might have a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of struggles, a lot of the spiritual stuff. I'm going to ask you right here in this moment, are you safe? All right, let's just talk about an emotional awakening.
Yeah.
The heart is yelling at you. Please look at me, please look at me, please look at me, please look at me, please look at me. But there's all of these other things to be worried about, all of these other dangers. And committing to this inner healing journey requires a leap of faith, where what I had to do along my awakening journey is something that I call playing chicken with the universe.
Okay.
As a reference to the Bible, let's say, even if you don't believe in God, when a bush lights itself on fire and tells you to build an ark, you build a. And that's what self-love is about. It's learning how to be yourself, even when it's not easy, even when it's a challenge, and then learning how to walk away from the things that aren't conducive to you being the best version of yourself anymore, so that you can find your actual place in this world.
You're powerful, Benjy. You're powerful. And I do love you. I'm saying it.
Thank you. Super quick. That
Yeah.
self-love is about learning to accept that. You're here telling me I'm powerful. And years ago, I would have shunned away from that. Like, how dare I think that about myself? And I try not to think those things about myself. I don't walk around all day going, oh, I'm powerful, and I'm an amazing person. But to accept this about yourself, this is who I am. When you learn how to push aside the persona and how to express whatever it is that's trying to come out of you. But let me first explain. You first need to get rid of fear. When you learn how to truly express yourself without fear, you change lives. You can be a cashier at the grocery store, but when you learn how to express yourself without fear as the cashier at the grocery store, you will change lives. That's it.
Why is it that the rational mind cannot heal our traumas and experiences?
The problem isn't in and of itself rational. The problem is that in a moment of emotional distress, there are emotions that come up that need to be felt, that need to be processed. Just as I was saying, like, think of your emotions like food. It's energy. When you eat an apple, that physical form is translated into calories, and calories are a form of energy. Emotions are just a form of energy as well. So we build up these emotions in the moment, and when we don't feel safe to process them, it gets stuck inside of us. So when we eat too much and we don't move our body, we get fat. When we bring in emotions and we don't process it in the first place, it stays inside of us. The emotions are trapped there. And the vast majority of the people who come to me already know where their pain comes from. They don't need to analyze it. They know that their parents were abusive. They understand we live in a world where, we're more accepting of mental health and self-love, and we understand how, a parent telling you that you're no good as a kid affects you. The example that I like to use is like, imagine that you went into a doctor's office with a headache. You told him, doctor, I have this headache and it's been there for years and it's not going away. And let's say the doctor sat down with you and spend 2 hours, 3 hours explaining to you, okay, here are all the biological mechanisms that are going on. Here's why you have a headache. And you were taking notes and you figured it all out and you went by the end, oh my God, I finally get it. Would that get rid of the headache? No, it would be great to know. It would be very helpful and you wouldn't hate yourself as much anymore because, oh, it's normal or it makes sense. And that is one of the biggest benefits of therapy. And one of the biggest benefits, like along the lines, I teach people, I don't like diving into labels. I think the labels are harmful for us. General anxiety disorder, clinical depression, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. I think that those labels keep you trapped and are very harmful.
They do, yeah.
But they were very helpful and necessary for a long time. When those terms were first created, they were freedom, because until then, no one was willing to talk about mental health and no one understood, why am I in pain every moment of every day? And giving it a name, giving it a title made it acceptable. It made us able to have this conversation around. The real problem is just a lifetime's worth of unresolved emotions. What I explain it to people is you've got a pool of 10,000 liters worth of unresolved pain inside of you. And we need to learn how to start releasing it. And in order to release it, you don't need to understand it. You don't need to analyze it. You need to learn how to finally feel it. Because your heart has been sending up these messages for a lifetime saying, please look at me, please look at me, please look at me, please look at me, please look at me. And your brain goes, but I'm in danger. I can't look at you right now. If I look at you, that tiger is going to pounce and everything is going to be terrible. So we move up into the logic mode, into the problem-solving mode. But that actually perpetuates a negative cycle. Because let's just say, and this happens all the time, let's say you go to bed feeling okay. You go to bed with a smile on your face, you had a great day. And you wake up in the morning and you're feeling a bit of anxiety. You're feeling a bit of sadness. You're feeling whatever it is. Standard reaction. Let's say you even live with someone. You have a spouse and you wake up the next morning and go, oh, how'd you sleep? How are you feeling? And you go like, you know what? I'm not feeling so good today. I'm having some anxiety. First words out of their mouth are likely going to be, oh, well, why is that? Thing is, there is no reason. There is no real reason right here, right now. You went to bed feeling good. Nothing has changed in between when you went to bed feeling good and when you woke up. But when they ask that question, now you start searching. Where in my life can I find a problem? Am I feeling this anxiety because of work? Am I feeling it because of my relationship? Am I feeling it because of some chore that I need to do today? So your brain moves to that and it starts analyzing. Oh, it looks for something to attach the pain to because it wants to stay in control. Because if it's not in control, then you're now in danger and it believes the tiger is going to win. And what happens when your brain searches for something to attach the pain to? It finds something. Doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to attach it to something so that now you can try and solve the problem. Because you don't know where the anxiety is coming from. But if you can attach it to this problem in your external life, then you can focus on trying to solve that problem. And you hope that, oh, once I solve the problem, the anxiety will go away, not recognizing that the anxiety didn't come from there. It came from inside. It was just there. So that's why the intellectual analysis can't help, because all that's going on is unresolved emotional energy trying to move through you. When you do start learning how to feel your emotions, when you learn how to let go, and allow the emotion to move through you, those moments of emotional distress, that's where the healing happens. That's your body finally going, oh, okay, I'm letting go of a little bit. I'm letting go of a little bit. And you can learn to get to a point where you're actually grateful for those days when you're not feeling so good, because if you stop resisting it, then you know that at the end of each emotional storm, you're going to be better and healthier and happier and stronger, because the whole point of that emotional storm, I mean, even, and this is the first time I'm thinking of this, even using that metaphor, a storm or a rain is when the evaporation moves up to the sky and it becomes clouds, and the pressure builds up and builds up and builds up until it rains down.
Beautiful.
That's what's going on inside of us. The emotions are building up and building up and building up and building up, and eventually it needs to rain. When it starts raining, when we're in that emotional storm, in that moment of emotional distress, we think that it means that something's wrong. So we start looking for a problem. We start trying to solve a problem. So while it's raining and it should be a moment of release, what we're actually doing is we're adding more problems to the pile because we think that that rain means that, oh my God,
Exactly.
something is terrible. In terms of, discovering the reasons why we do these things, there will be some understanding that comes along with this healing. But to put it super short, when it comes to this dialogue that we're having, trying to figure out where this stuff is coming from, we just want to be the listener. We just want to show our brains and our subconscious mind that it is safe to express itself. And it doesn't matter if these thoughts are real or like if they're just, we need to learn how to get out of our own way and how to start rebuilding this connection between our conscious and our subconscious mind, so that that inner guidance, that part of you right here that doesn't operate through rationality and logic, but that operates from actually much more powerful inner knowing and much more powerful connection to the world around you. Your heart knows a hell of a lot more than your head does. Your head is a coward and an asshole, and it's working with a very limited amount of information. Your heart is working actually with much more information, but it's information that can't necessarily be understood rationally because it is that much grander. It's like trying to, there's going to be challenges along the way. It's not going to be easy just because your heart tells you to do something that, oh, I guess it's just going to be easy. You're going to need to push through. You're going to need to have the grit and the perseverance to push through all the fears and all the challenges and to let go of all the shit that you've been holding on to. And that's the magic.
Is magical, inspirational also. Many women, as they have their children, really spend a lot of time investing in their children. They forget who they are and wake up one day. A kid may have left home, or there's teenagers there, and they look at themselves in the mirror wondering, who the heck am I? Because they forgot to take care of themselves along the way. What special message would you have to tell or say to moms that need to finally love themselves, that need the permission to do it?
I love the way that you finished that question, because I think it segues perfectly into my short answer to this, which is self-love is not selfish. It is absolutely necessary. We cannot do anything. No, we cannot do anything. We cannot be the best for other people. If you want to continue to be the best mother that you can be, the best wife, the best whatever, just like, we've all developed this idea that, oh, if I focus on myself, I'm doing something wrong. It's not true. You need to pull away from things for a moment, focus on yourself, rediscover who you are, so that you can be that best version of yourself for everyone else. On an airplane, when the oxygen masks come down, they tell you, put on your own mask before helping others. It's the same with the emotional healing. Self-love is not selfish. It is absolutely necessary. And when you learn self-love, you will transform everyone's life around you. Doesn't matter if your kids are grown up already, do it now. They will see that change in you. You will be able to show them how to see that change in themselves. You will be the role model for everyone else in your life, because you finally realize, you know what? I want to figure out who I am. And that will help your kids figure out who they are. So it's something I'm more than happy to do. So I do have 2 books that are out. The first is called Feelings First Shadow Work, Simple Approach to Self-Love and Emotional Mastery. And then there's kind of like the partner book to it in the sequel, which is called 10 Mind Hacks to Quicker Emotional Healing. So the first one, Feelings First Shadow Work, that's the overarching perspective. This is where I give my philosophy. And the book was designed to be as easy to read and to get through as possible. There's no deep shadow work, psychological language that is hard to, like, a 12-year-old can read this book and get everything out of it. So that's the book that I'm sharing with you guys here today. So first, you're going to get the Feelings First Shadow Work book. You'll get it either as a PDF that you can like download, or you can just read it through the website. You also get access to the audiobook version of it, narrated by me. So it's I know what I'm talking about. Also included there's going to be 10 guided meditations. There's one for
Thank you.
anxiety and one for sleep and there's also 5 kind of subliminal programming or manifesting audio track. And I hope that you get a lot out of it.
Benjy, this interview was beyond any expectation. You're vivid, smart, and compassionate. You're an example of self-love. It was, as I mentioned in the beginning, but with a new sense, a new meaning, a new experience. It was an honor to interview you.